Okay, welcome to the second part of our Hornet logo build. If I want to, as a business model, if I want to help make logos for a company, something that we can use in advertising, 3D modeling is something that's definitely available to do that. However, I need to add a little bit more. So if I do 3D text, in this case, we're going to use this for our gaming club logo. We can up our game. And there's a few things that we're going to show you. I'm just going to delve into the text tools just a slight amount here. We're not going to go into everything they can do, but you can play around with it. And we're going to have 2 days to do this project as a contest to see which design comes up with the best design that we can use for our gaming club this year. So first thing, before I even start to add text, let's look and see. We are taking the winning hornet from class. Okay, fantastic job with this hornet, by the way. Won by a landslide. And let's look and see what it looks like since we're starting the project here. We're going to open it up into our Scene Explorer, and we can see over here that we have all the different shapes in there. Okay, so there's quite a bit that we're working with. Now we don't need to touch this because we're leaving it how it was as the winning hornet. So what we want to do is we want to take everything in here in our group. I can highlight one and I can do Control A on my keyboard for all, or you can draw a box around the entire thing, same thing. And we're going to go up to group and my toolbar, find group, and we're going to group them all together. Let's give it a name. We're going to call it hornet. Now I have more than one hornet on my computer and saved. You can just do hornet if you want, but I'm going to call it gaming club winner. So, and we're not looking for phonetics. We're looking more for to make sure that as things are lined up, everything's labeled in our project. So there's the hornet. And once I have that in there, you see that it's a hierarchy now, and I can collapse this down and hide all the parts there. So now we're ready to add our text. Okay, so let's go in. Now there's two different ways we can do text in 3ds Max. Well, two stock ways, I should say. On the Home Create tab for geometry, so I have Create, Geometry, we have TextPlus. Okay, they put that on the first one. Now, if you notice, if I go to the second one under Shapes, we have text also. Now that does have the same options to do text, but this is kind of the old way to do it. And then this was the newer tool that I believe was developed for 2014 version. And so there's more things that we can do, and this one's going to be a little bit easier. So we're going to start with this. So I click on TextPlus. Now, before I put it in, I can just put it in the scene if I want. I can drag it out and drop it there. Okay. But I want to do a few things before I do that. Now, first thing that I can do, I can replace my TextPlus with actually the words that I want in my scene. So in this case, I'm going to put gaming club. If you want to put Preble Gaming Club, however you think that the logo should look, gaming club. Okay. All caps, however you feel that the logo should look. This is where you're going to set the parameters. You could take this if you were doing this for a business model and do a few different designs and take it back to your customer and say, here's some things I came up with. Now, I have that set. Now, I want to draw my box out in relation to the size of my hornet. And I want to do that, at least for starting point, on a plane. I'm going to do it in the front plane. Okay, I can rotate my hornet, I can rotate my text, but I want to have it drawn out here. And so I'm going to draw out by having gaming club typed. Okay, you can see that the size is not changing, but I want my box to be drawn out and set for the size that I'm going to increase it. So I drop that in here, and we can see we have some settings and parameters that we can change. First thing we got is what font style. We'll change that in a minute. And we got some sizing here. So if my box is big enough, I can adjust my sizing and set my sizing to how it is. If I go beyond that, it's going to get cut off, and now I'm losing letters. Okay, so I want my text box to be big enough that I don't have to worry about continuing to adjust it. All right, so there is my general words, but if you notice, if I rotate around on my perspective view, those words are flat. They're not 3D. They're not lined up where I want. Okay, I can move them around, no problem. And I can either decide to put them behind or in front of my hornet. Okay, in this case, I can see they're behind here. And if I go back into modifying my text here, so if I click off of it, I got to get back into the tools by modifying. That will take me right back. And we want to actually give it some depth. We're going to do that by extruding. I can watch it grow here as I'm pulling my numbers up. So click and just drag it and get it close to where you want. I can also see that in perspective view. So I'm going to maximize my window here and see how things are looking. Okay. I got my default shading turned on. Now, if I render this as a PNG, I'm not going to see the blue lines. Okay. So I may have to adjust and shuffle some things. So if I want the gaming logo to be up on the top and the club on the bottom or so forth, I may have to separate those. I can hit enter, but then I lose that on my text box here. Okay, so general rule of thumb is set up your text box, or you can adjust it here if you need to make it bigger. That's not a deal breaker. Just change the region that it's going to occupy. And now I can slide this down, for example. Let's just bump it down with my blue arrow. All right. So now if I want to go through and see how the text looks and change the font, okay, similar to other programs, but I don't want to go and click one by one on these. So here's what I can do. If I just want to scroll through real fast and see how it looks, I can click on the first one. Now with that box highlighted, I can, if you notice, nothing's happening in my text. So first thing I got to do is highlight the text in my text box under parameters. Okay, select it all. And now I can go through and change these, and you'll see them change in my window. So if I change the first one while that was highlighted, now with my arrow keys, I can just go up or down, and I can kind of real fast scroll through and get an idea of some that I like. If I don't want to go through and scroll one by one. When I come up to one that I like, and I'm like, oh, this is the one. Okay. So let's say hypothetically, what is this? Bank Gothic. This is the one I want. I can accept that. Okay. We can change the shape of it and so forth. I'm going to accept that for now and click off of it. All right. So feel free then. If I want to change the general shape of this, I can go and change my text to an editable poly, and I can add some bends, twists, and any other modifiers that I want on here. Okay, so that you can do to make it special. If you want to separate those and do one as gaming and a separate one as club so that you can change the shape of one but not the other, feel free. Next thing I want to do before I render this, let's just talk a little bit about how to turn this in, because we want this to be an actual backdrop in a poster. Okay, so I can render it with, I want to have this clear as a PNG so that I can print this and do stickers or t-shirts or logos and so forth. Save what you have because you don't want to lose it. So save as, give it a name. I'm going to call this Hornet logo with text. Okay, and you can put your name there because you're going to turn that in. And how do we render it? Let's go up now as a quick review. I want to go to my render menu, setup. We're going to change this. I want to actually do this as a camera under most circumstances as I'm playing with this. If you like your view here under perspective, perfect. Otherwise, drop in a camera, fiddle with it, get it set up so that you can adjust your view just right. We did that lesson already. I don't need to review that. But for this actual settings here, if you set up your camera perfect, go and change your camera. If not, use your quad view. Do it as a single output. Make sure your camera is set to the actual view, not selected. Okay. And then we want this as high def. So keep HD TVs, especially since there's only one. And we want to go down here under files. You're going to give it a name, and you want to change the format here to a PNG. So don't do it as a JPEG. Don't do it as a screenshot. Make sure it's a PNG. That way we can give it a nice clear background. I'm going to save it in an actual file for class. So go to your numbered drive, find your 3D animation folder. Where's my documents here? Here I am, and 3ds Max projects for class, and I'm just going to call this my Hornet logo with text, and hit save. Keep this as stock, that's fine, and render it. That should pop up, and that rendered, that saved it. I can open that up now and see if it looks the way that I want. I'm going, now I may have to go to open location, find it. Where are you? And should be sorted by date modified. Should have today right here on top. Here it is. And my colors are off. So I'm going to have to adjust that in my camera and my view. And by now we should be good and good at that. If you can't get it to render correctly, call me over and I'll help you walk through those steps. And have this submitted by end of class tomorrow for our contest. Thanks for joining me and looking forward to see your project.